Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to an episode of Change Starts With Us, Ohio. Today we're with Rita Reynolds, the mother of Andre Warren, who is in prison basically for self-defense. He was at a restaurant at the time, and he ended up defending himself. I'm going to let Rita Reynolds kind of explain the step-to-step things that happened that day. Okay, Rita.
Well, good morning. First, we'd just like to give a brief synopsis of what I viewed on video from my account from talking with my son. On that day, I think it was exactly July 1st, 2018, my son had picked up his son to take him out for breakfast. Upon arriving at the restaurant, he came into company with the cousin of the deceased and the guy who had previously shot him. And on January the 12th, 2014, when he had gotten shot on January the 12th, 2014, he had gave the detectives the information that he knew about the person who shot him. He knew the nickname of the person because his baby's mother had previously testified in a murder case pertaining to family members. Upon him getting shot, he also had described the vehicle of the person who had shot him. The car that day was later stopped been documented, but the detectives never got a chance to get that into the report for whatever reason. I'm not sure why. So they had a verbal altercation in the restaurant that day. Andre suspected that something was going wrong, so he called his son's mom and asked her to come pick him up to get him out of harm's way. The mother came to pick up my grandson. Andre returned back into the restaurant, waited for his food. Upon coming out of the restaurant, once his food had been prepared, he proceeded to his vehicle, but he noticed that a car was slowly approaching. He stopped and he waited long enough to see that it was actually a threat. And as this was taking place, you hear on the video, you clearly hear the restaurant worker stating that they waited outside for him. And they proceeded with a conversation. Yeah, was gonna wait for him to come outside and I guess just shoot him right out in front of you. This is what they're saying on the recording. Why that did not get into the courtroom, I'm not sure why they suppressed that evidence. But then as well, just reading it up, of course we know that the two guys jumped out the vehicle with guns, with loaded weapons. They were later found because after the incident, the weapons they tried to dispose of them, but because of cameras and things, they were able to go back. The detectives were able to find the weapons. Okay, so moving forward, the trial, he was allowed to do the self-defense, but they said that he should have had room to retreat. That's the biggest thing that allowed this to be, for them to convict him of murder, was seeing that last juror held out and he reported in the African Journal that he felt that Andre had room to retreat. However, based on the fact that Andre had previously been shot, and actually based on my experience with people with PTSD as well, he was based on my involvement with my son since the incident on 2014, he was in fear for his life. I mean, he was so afraid, and because I came up in a different era, I just, in my spiritual base, I'm just like, well, baby, gotta protect you. But Andre kept saying, well, Mom, you just don't know. Things ain't like they were when you were growing up. So I'm kind of rambling, so I'm going to stop now and see if if you have any questions or.
Well, he was one of the first people, wasn't he, under the new self-defense law?
In Ohio, well, in Summit County for sure, correct.
Right. Well, it was a state law that took effect. I was at the hearings when they passed this law, and we thought it was going to actually work in our favor, but it seems to me that it's still backfiring on so many people that should have been deemed as defending themselves or their families.
Correct.
And the sad thing is, we as felons do not have the right to protect ourselves. Somebody comes after us with a gun, we're not allowed to carry one.
Sad reality.
That's something I would like to see changed in the future. What is your son's sentence?
They sentenced him to 29 years to life.
Why such a weird sentence? I mean, that's harder than a regular murder case.
That's what's so perplexing. And then even you would question why he wasn't even offered a plea bargain. He was not offered anything, even though he would have took it because he was actually defending his life. But
right.
For it not to have been offered was also strange as well.
Yeah, I want to know why they didn't offer him a plea deal. That's unheard of.
From me watching detective shows, because fortunately, I haven't been involved in any type of legal things or anything like that.
Right.
And this is another thing, too, that I think is very permanent, is that we don't have a family history of violence. We don't have a family history of gunning down people or suspected of violence.
Right. Right.
Now, on the other hand, the family of the deceased does. That's well documented.
Did your son have a much of a record before this?
He had some issues with the courts, and he did.
Okay.
He wasn't perfect by a long shot, but at the same time, he was raised in a good home structure coming up.
I'm sure he was, just like I was, and I kind of went the wrong way for a little while. And it happens. That doesn't mean that our parents did not raise us the right way. It just means we took the wrong road.
I agree.
So,
but it shouldn't subject you because someone else's anger or hostility towards you should not subject you to spending the rest of your life in jail.
Right.
And then, in addition to that, the way the court proceedings went, wow, it was so horrific. It caused me to immediately after the trial need to get away from there. They were allowed to threaten in the courtroom. The things that happen in that courtroom should never happen in a courtroom. Right.
We know a lot of things that shouldn't happen does happen in a courtroom. I believe that defense attorneys will sell you out to win the next case.
I agree.
How long has he been down for now?
It's been 2 years now.
So he's just basically starting off. What is the family looking for right now to help with to assist with this misjustice?
We're actually looking for justice. Just for justice, and that's exactly what we're looking for. Just for him to be treated fairly. Like, we do understand that he was not supposed to have a weapon under disability. So yes, that's an accurate charge.
So 3 years. 3 years you get for that. 1 to 3. That does not give him a life sentence.
Exactly. My sentiment exactly. And so that's really all we're looking for is seeking justice.
Was there any witnesses around the restaurant at this time?
The basic witnesses are cameras.
Okay. And a lot of times they make sure they don't work during that or they lose the footage.
Well, actually, I still, and this is the strangest thing because I've never heard of this happening as well. I still actually got the first video, the actual video of the entire incident, which when you hear the workers in the restaurant saying that they waited outside for him.
Right. Well, and this happened in Summit County, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so a motion would have to be filed into Summit County if there's any attorneys that are watching or investigators. This is a carriage of misjustice that needs to be fixed. Our criminal justice system is flawed. I mean, has a lot of flaws in it from the bottom up, from the top down. And we need to get so much fixed. And we're not saying that there should not be a criminal justice system. There should not be held accountability. There should. But also for the right people. And then when the right people get arrested, rehabilitate them and let them home.
I agree.
So at least that's the way I was raised. And I was raised in a strong Republican family, but they also believed in second chances.
I agree.
I think it was because I was given 3, 4, 5 chances. And, I survived it, and your son will too, but we're hoping that something positive will come out of this.
Correct.
And that he could come home to his family. 29 years to life, and under the new law, it's day for day. That means he has to do 29 years straight before he even sees a parole board. Under those pre-Senate Bill 2, before 1996, they had to do 2/3 of their sentence.
Okay.
So he will have to do day for day, folks. So we need to find a way that we can start helping these people. If somebody, do you guys have an email where somebody can email you if they would like a help?
Yes, I do have an email. Would it be safe to give the email out on this line, or?
What you might want to do is just do an email for him in the future and give it to me, and then I'll post it.
Okay. Because then in addition, families' homes have been shot up.
Right.
My life has been threatened as well. And I called the detectives, and basically they said there's nothing they can do until something happens.
And you don't even live in Akron anymore, correct?
No, because of this.
It's sad, but you shouldn't have had to move out though. This is your home too.
Correct.
So our prayers are going to be with you as well.
Thank you.
I believe in miracles. I'm a firm believer in miracles, but I also believe that the hard work has to start with the family, because you're not going to find any attorney that's going to do the research as those that love him. Like when he's able to, once this COVID thing kind of blows over, if he spends a big time in the law library and start doing research, talk to colleges in Ohio State, University of Cincinnati Law School, just the different ones from Ohio, and see if anybody would be willing to take on a class project to help your son.
Okay.
But that pretty much has to be you to do that. He could send the letters out, but he's not going to get much of a response.
Okay. And actually, when this first started and we were questioning the legitimacy after we realized what happened with the attorney that he had hired, I had did some research myself. So I have information in reference to particulars that pertain to this case.
Right.
And, that should be looked at.
Right. Well, let's pray for some positive stuff. I do want to do another one with you in a couple weeks. I'd also like to do another one with your son. And if you have any other family members that would be interested, they don't have to know exactly what happened. I want to show that he has family support.
Okay.
Because I don't think any of us really know what happened unless if we were the one that is being accused. But we should either know if we can believe our son or daughter or not. And it sounds to me that you believe your son, which is good enough for me.
Well, what happened with that is that because initially when this happened, I just didn't know what to think.
Right.
But somehow that video got into my hands, and I was like, wow, It just was like, even though it was the beginning of the situation, but it relieved my heart because I knew how I had raised my son.
Right.
Yes.
Yep. I'm sure you did raise your son good. This is just one of those incidents where he's defending himself, and it would not make any difference how you raise him. He's defending his life. It's not because of anything you did.
Correct.
So let's continue to pray for the family, folks. And if you'd like to reach out to the family, please email us at changestartswithusohio@gmail.com. And what's your the son's name is Andre Warren, right?
Correct.
Okay, and then this is Rita. What's your last name?
Reynolds.
Reynolds. Okay. Yeah, I had a stroke back in May, so my memory's kind of off.
That's okay, but you know what I really appreciate, because there's many days that I cried out for justice and help and didn't know which direction to turn. I sat up for hours at the computer trying to figure out how to put together an appeal myself, and then fortunately something stepped in. But so I want to express my appreciation for even getting this far, getting the story out.
Well, I think you're going to see more and more people that want to get involved as time goes by. But, one of our goals should be that he doesn't have to spend too much time in there for a crime of defending himself.
Because that's another thing. He was very involved with his children.
Right.
Very involved. And so now, as we know, the structure of the family is already broken down by father being absent. And
right.
then to take away someone who was involved in their children's lives is a disadvantage to society as well.
And that's true. How old is your son, if I may ask?
He's 29.
Okay, he's still a kid to me, though. So I'm almost 60, so.
Okay.
I started my time, though, in prison when I was 18, so, and I did 25 years, and it's caused a lot of health problems, but only the strong survive, and I'm sure your son's going to survive till he comes home.
I agree.
So let's keep that in mind that, he's strong enough, and we just want to get him the assistance he needs to bring him home.
I agree. Yes.
Okay, so let's do a Facebook Live. What's your schedule like on Friday evening around 6?
So that would be 4 p.m. my time. Friday, I will be able to look like I'm going to definitely be able to do that.
Okay, if things change, just send me a message. Send us me a friend request under James Cronenberger, and we will add you to all our pages where there's people post a lot of knowledge on there.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Your time.
Thank you, and our prayers are with you and your son.
Thank you so much. And have a good day.
You too. Folks, this is, one of the people that really needs help. And it's nothing that, believe me, it's nothing that I do. Because I'm not the best interviewer, but I do care. We got, people on here. I care about our friends on death row. One of them was just recently sick. Like I made a post a couple weeks ago, I think about a week ago, actually, on Instagram and Twitter to pray for my friend Ed and some of the other people that were suffering. So if you'd like to check out our website, it's at www.changestartswithusohio.org. Again, that is www.changestartswithusohio.org. Have a great day, everybody.